topics and opinions expressed on the following show are solely those of the hosts and their guests and not those of W4WN Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4WN Radio, its employees, or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4WN Radio.
Hello, all you beautiful thinkers and wanderers. Welcome to Think Out Loud with me. I'm Natalie P., and if life has taught me anything, curiosity saves lives, and the best conversations are the ones we don't script. Life's a big, beautiful, messy learning opportunity, and here in my space, well, we let the inside voices out so others can hear, relate, and create with new purpose. This is a space for questions, connection, and those deep, real human conversations that crack open new perspectives. So grab a seat, open your mind and your heart, and let's think out loud together.
Hello. Welcome to Think Out Loud with me, another episode streaming live. I would love to bring my guests on the screen, please. Hi, beautiful humans. It's wonderful to be joined this morning, the five of us and a whole beautiful crew in front of the scenes, behind the scenes, on the side of the scenes, everywhere. Are gathering next week for Healing Curious Humans Extravaganza, or HCHX, right here in Loveland, Colorado. And this has been a topic I've been socializing for a few weeks now on my stream, and just really excited to have folks here today to visit with me. We're not just showing up, we are showing out. Hearts open, spirits ready, and feet planted in the sacred soil of community. Each one of us has been called, and I use that word intentionally, called to share, to guide, to gather, to hold space for what it means to be human, to remember what it feels like to come home to our bodies, to tend to our minds, to root our spirits, to explore what it means to heal, alone and together. That might sound lofty, but not to us. We've lived it, and we know how vital it is to ask better questions, to stay curious, and to keep choosing love. So thank you for being here with me today. It's a gorgeous, almost fall morning here in Northern Colorado. The air's got a just right and ripe crispness. I've got a neighbor across the way, Juan, who has 4 apple trees that are literally hanging by he's got ropes holding the amount of apples that he's harvesting for his family and making apple butter, and the crispness of the air and the neighbor's apples have me excited. So it feels like a collective homecoming, and y'all are my people. So let me introduce this table of guests, this virtual table of guests. I've got Madison Rose coming from Fort Collins, Colorado. She's just up the road from me. Susie Schaefer in Idlewild, watching the rain come down. And Ruby all the way in Miami. You're in Miami today, right, Ruby? I believe so. Yeah. So I want to, just before we dive deep, pass the mic around and let you all, let the folks listening in know who you are and who they're hearing from. So Susie, let's start with you. You're joining us from Idlewild, and it is awesome to see your face. Go ahead and share with folks listening in, who are you in this big, beautiful world? And following that, what are you most passionate about sharing with others right now?
Well, thanks, Natalie. I'm super happy to be here. Super excited about HCHX. That's coming up, and I'm going to be going back to Colorado. I said that I've lived there for 25 years, but now I reside in Idlewild, California. up on this little tiny mountain with a community of about 4,000. It's absolutely beautiful up here. I'm known as the book doula. So I help people bring their stories to the world. And I do it in such a way that helps them with the healing of sharing their stories. I'm also an intuitive channel and I do readings. So I will be kicking off HCHX by doing a collective reading for the group. And I'm very excited about that. And Natalie, if you'd like, at the end of the show, I can certainly pull 3 cards for the audience.
That would be yummy. Yummy. Thank you. Maddie, let me kick it to you. Who are you in this beautiful world? And what are you most passionate about sharing with others right now?
Oh, good morning. My name's Madison, and I started a company called Better Half to Whole. I am a somatic divorce recovery coach, and right now I am most passionate about helping people heal their sense of self, especially after getting rocked by a divorce. And I am really excited to be with everyone next weekend at HCH in Loveland, and just excited to see all the different people who come through the doors and share some curiosity and maybe some healing, or definitely some healing.
Yeah, great. Thank you. Ruby, come off mute and introduce yourself to the world. What are you most passionate about sharing with others right now?
Hi, everyone. I'm Ruby, and I'm the founder of a website called insure.com. And what I'm interested in doing is delivering, or actually helping people heal from abusive relationships. So my main work is domestic violence, and I'm a certified trauma facilitator and trainer. But what I really want is for people to heal from it in their way, not the way professionals keep telling us how to heal. My biggest passion really is the unborn child that gets affected through pregnancy and nobody even thinks about it. So I'd like to help people heal from their abusive relationships, but also keep their family intact, because you all have it in you. You just don't know how to shift the parts yet. So that's what I'm hoping to do.
That's awesome. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So, real talk. Here's where I want to go today. I was on a podcast. I was a guest yesterday on a podcast, which is always fun. I always feel like I talk too much, but I think that's what the guest is supposed to do, is do most of the talking, right? One of the questions it's a question that I answer often, but it hit me in a different way, not because it's complex, but because it is so simple. What does healing actually mean? We toss this word around a lot, right? Especially in spaces like this, but it's personal. It's layered, and sometimes it's messy. It's painful. It's quiet. It can be lonely. I want to ask you each, from your own walk through this life, what does healing mean to you right now? I'd love to just riff on this for a few minutes, unscripted, unfiltered. Just think out loud with me about, what does healing mean to you right now? Anyone want to take the mic first?
I'll go for it.
Oh, go ahead.
So for me, healing is really about having a deeper assessment about what it is, what's the trauma, what's the issue behind it, and getting to the root of the problem, and really looking at it and being able to discern, break it down, look at all different sides of it, take responsibility where responsibility is needed, and do the shadow work, do the deep work of really getting into the trenches and allowing yourself to forgive others, forgive yourself, and say, hey, it's just a part of my life. That doesn't define me. I think that's all part of the healing process. And it's interesting too, because I think one of the most profound healings that I went through was after my divorce. I left an abusive marriage, and my whole life changed. You know, when you go through something like that, it becomes very traumatic, but also it makes you look at every side of your life. And so, I wrote a little tiny book about it called The Escape. which was literally what I had to do to leave my marriage. And that kind of launched me into healing the trauma of being gaslit and being in that situation. And it took me years. Literally, I'd say probably 5 years before I really felt like I had healed from that. But in the meantime, as I was going through that healing process, that's when I launched my business. That's when I changed my entire life. That's when I reestablished boundaries for myself. So healing can take on a lot of different forms, and it is very individual, and it's up to you. But it starts with you breaking the whole thing down and examining it from all sides.
Yeah. Yeah. Beautiful. Shadow follow-up question. Folks hear the concept of shadow work. Would you put some words around shadow work?
Shadow work is amazing. It is allowing yourself to go into those deep, dark corners that you don't want to visit. It's the things that you have to look at, like maybe an unworthiness wound, or like I said, taking responsibility for things that you've done or said in your life. And it can be scary. It can be lonely. It can be very emotional. But it is probably one of the crucial pieces to seeing the opposite side of yourself, the dark side of yourself, your personality, where that comes from. And when you do that work, it's very freeing.
Absolutely. Yeah. It can feel very weighty, and then once the weight is lifted, it is amazingly freeing. Yeah, Ruby, let's hear your thoughts on what does healing mean to you right now, and then the shadow work. Same kind of, what is shadow work to you?
So I agree with Susie that it depends on also what you're healing. So in domestic violence, you're talking about so many layers, and that looks frightening. And not only does it look frightening, there's always something that comes around. So you may have gone through that journey of actually healing, accepting the responsibility, becoming accountable, but something comes out of, left field or something. So it's not just that it's individual. We have to continually be ready for something that does come out of nowhere, because it's not coming out of nowhere. It's an area that you haven't addressed.
Mm-hmm.
It's an area that's remained hidden, or you've not wanted to go there because there's just so much to deal with. But for me, so if I can talk about an attack that happened to me, and the way that I healed after doing there's a program that I deliver. I did the program, and what I found was the trauma and the way that it manifests itself is so different in everybody's body and how you're supported. So the healing changes according to getting that right mirror. So I thought people in my family might say, well, why were you walking so early? Nobody in my family said that. In fact, they called me 5-6 times on the same day in the next few days to just check that I was okay. That gave me more courage. So getting that to persons that are going to love you regardless makes a big difference in that healing. But then again, in the field of domestic violence, the biggest thing I keep saying to people is stay in your lane. If you take care of you, everything else will take care of itself. But it's such a scary place to be. And like Susie said, visiting those cobwebs, visiting the things you don't want to touch, they're the ones I always say, I'm going to help you learn to let those pain points bleed a little bit, because as they start oozing and you let them gush, suddenly you become a new person and you didn't realize you can do it. So you need those people to give you that little bit of light here and there. So it's a very individual thing, and it can set you back, and you go back 1 step and go forward 2, or you might go back 5 steps and then set yourself free in a way that you just can't imagine. So it's very, very individual.
Yeah.
And it takes a lot of work.
And a lot of work. Yeah.
Yeah.
Madison, talk to us about what healing means to you right now, and how shadow work comes into play in the types of conversations and relationships you build with your clients.
Yeah, we talk a lot about healing, and we talk a lot about trauma. And trauma actually isn't the event. that happened. It's everything that comes afterwards. And so for me, healing specifically around my divorce was getting to a place where I could accept what had happened, and then wasn't like, from a body perspective, from a somatic perspective, I wasn't totally derailed by a trigger or by a memory, and I could stay present in my life and even have the capacity to examine things, to look at things, to recall memories, to let it bleed a little bit, because we need that pressure release, but then also enough safety to be able to actually let ourselves crumble sometimes, let the tears come, and still know or believe on some level that we're going to be taken care of or loved or cared for. And so I have conversations with my clients where they have had really traumatic experiences, where something happened that was way too much, way too soon, or happened way too fast. And so we go back oftentimes to childhood, and how there are core beliefs that we hold that sometimes are not ours, most of the time are not ours, but that we did something to keep ourselves safe, and our bodies knew what to do. And sometimes that isn't serving us anymore. So being able to look at some of the patterns that we have as ourselves now, to then say, you're safe now. And we have enough capacity to be able to be with love, receiving love, receiving support, experiencing joy, so much so that we can counterbalance what has happened on the other side with the pain or the trauma or the abuse. So it's really about expanding your capacity to hold both. And that, for me, is what healing has meant, is to be able to kind of expand the edges of my capacity for the full spectrum of experience, because there's a lot that happens in our lives, and healing takes time. And I also believe that it is possible for everyone. It just is going to look different depending on your experience, and how dedicated or committed you are to receiving love and support, because we can't do it alone.
No, certainly not. And the at the heart of our gathering next weekend is community, right? We shouldn't expect to. We are on a planet with billions of people, and we are interdependent and connected in a way that is absolutely stunning, and in unconditional love. And no, we don't have to do this alone. I want to circle back to the word capacity, and our ability to hold in one breath, it might feel like some days, the depths of something horrific, and within minutes, perhaps, the height of something so joyful, both ends of the spectrum. I don't know which way you want to do it, because I don't see them as, maybe it is more this way. I don't see it as a right, wrong, above, be right. It's a capacity to experience in our human, in our spirit, in our mind, in our nervous system, in all of it, the far reaching edges of, say, grief and heartbreak, and moments later feel the absolute joy and elation of happiness. And that our being, our human capacity to feel that is a wonderful and beautiful thing, right? That expanse is, I mean, it opens my heart just talking about the capacity of human emotion. We numb this. We work to not feel these edges, for whatever reason. It's been, trampled down in whatever traumatic way has happened to us that's individual and unique. There's a collective, right? There's a collective frequency that's going on that we either choose to engage with or not. There's many other factors. I wonder if you could just share with me your own thoughts, and I'll stay with you, Maddie, around the concept of capacity. And I guess where I'm going with this is, when life is hard, how dare we feel joy? And when life is great and fantastic, oh, I don't want to see that. No, I don't want to see that. No, it might take away. It might take, no. Think out loud with me about them both and our ability as humans to feel all of it.
Yeah, just as you were talking about, like when you did this, like I don't want to look away, or I'm happy now and I don't want to feel the sadness. I had this image of the difference between switching a channel and having two screens. And you can have joy on one screen or happiness on one screen, and you can have grief. Because the reality is they're present at all times. We just might have the volume down, or we've turned the screen off, but it's still playing in the background. So the capacity to hold both is that, or the capacity of a human, it's like exercising a muscle. It's like getting really comfortable, maybe not comfortable, familiar, and have the ability to switch back and forth, or to like hold more tightly to one than the other. And I think in the times of some of our deepest grief and despair and pain, hope and happiness, those are the things that will move us out. Mm-hmm. And so it's not that we can't look at those things, it's that we must look at those things, because there has to be a balance, in my view, of being able to look at both, to be present with both. And I think we would like kind of live in a bit of a fantasy if we only focused on one thing all the time. And that feels like singular focused and not actually like real life to me. But the capacity to hold both. And sometimes we don't feel like we're given permission to have both. We're not taught skills on how to experience both. And there is, at least for me personally, there was a fear of, specifically with rage and anger, if I go there, I don't know how to handle it. And so I will avoid it because I'm afraid it's going to burn my life down, because I don't have the experience tapping into anger and coming back to neutral or to happiness. And it felt like the dam will explode and I won't be able to recover and come back from it.
Yeah, I think you just hit on something pretty, substantial. That ability to, if I go there, what will I do with it? I have the capacity for it. What will I do with it if I go there? Susie, what are your thoughts on our ability as humans to hold such remarkably opposite ends of spectrums?
Yeah, and I like that you describe it that way. This is a great question, because it really is opposite ends of the spectrum. But really, this is what makes us human, because animals are not able to have those emotions. They're not able to understand sadness versus anger. It's very different. It's unique to us as humans. So this is really what makes us humans. And I think when people start to understand that being able to be at one end of the spectrum and then turn around and be at the other end of the spectrum, that is what builds really resiliency in people. That is the thing that if we can say, hey, yeah, I'm feeling great today, but then boom, something happens in my life and it's horrific, but I can bounce back from that because I do have that resiliency. It's about building that and building your emotional IQ in order to deal with those kinds of things that happen in our lives, because nobody's life is steady Eddie, right? It would be boring. I mean, honestly, it would be awful. We need to have those ups and downs and be on the roller coaster of emotions and things that happen in our lives, because we're human. And that really is the understanding of our humanity and how to work with that is what builds that resiliency.
I love the word resiliency. It's one of my favorite words. Yeah. Ruby, kicking over to you. What are your thoughts on capacity?
The issue of permission actually comes to my mind, because as I'm working with women from so many different countries, the vast majority of us have been told, you can't do this, you're not allowed to do that. So when they're holding these polar opposite thoughts and feelings, it's stuck. It's going to remain stuck until somebody gives them the words or what they need to be able to feel and give themselves the permission to move. What I found in my research was that when the women realized they weren't doing something against their God, they weren't doing something against their clergy, and they weren't doing something to offend their elders, they made very different choices. They made the choices that we all here as a collective, because we want people to heal, they would make them. So having that permission for me in the work that I do, because I'm thinking of the last few women on the Zoom call I did, a number of them were saying we need to learn how to speak when we need to speak and hold ourselves when we need to hold ourselves. And I thought, you need to learn that, but you also need to learn that you have the capacity to do much more. And once they learn that they're not doing anything wrong, they'll be able to do that part of healing. And the big thing in abuses is everything you let go. So if you're in an abusive relationship and you leave that relationship now, everything goes immediately. Your security, your home, your finances, your neighborhood, school, every single thing imaginable is let go in a heartbeat. All your gains are down the road and you can't see them or touch them or feel them. So getting in that lane, as I always say, is the first thing they need to do. And it takes a moment of somebody believing in you to start turning and changing that dial. So the capacity is infinite. The permission is what I feel is missing with a lot of the women and men. Men are in the same capacity, women more so, but men and children particularly, because the minute you open up a door and they start trusting you, they tell you everything. So there's a lot to learn in that space. But yes, we're all holding that all the time, and we're learning to change it as we go along, as we make up our own stories.
Yeah. And we're indeed in a movement. I would say it's not just mine. It's a movement, I think, worldwide, being more and more curious about who we are as humans and our interconnectivity, our interdependence. We have gone through a wild ride of fierce independence. I was raised like, girl, you will go conquer the world. Stand on your own 2 feet. Don't let them see you sweat. Fake it till you make it, right? And I did a hell of a job. A+, sister, good job. I would never have agreed with myself on that, because I, as a perfectionist, always thought I was missing, something. I wasn't quite perfect enough, right? But we have this movement afoot. I believe that, and I hear in the circles that I run in with you, all of you and others, that we are learning that independence is a fantastic, wonderful thing to have, and you should be able to stand on your own 2 feet. But at the end of the day, you are interdependent and relying on others for love, for support. And I want to just stop for a minute around just this concept of community and what it means. Think out loud with me about people in your life, if you can, personally. Maybe not so much you to a client, but this is your own personal journey. Think about community with me and what it's meant to you in your own path, and how you've come to be stronger on your own 2 feet because of the people around you. And Ruby, I'll just stay with you for a minute and let you think on this with me.
I was raised in London, so it was very multi-ethnic, and it was very much everybody communicating with everybody. And then obviously you take care of yourself because you've got whatever family you have in your cultures, religions and such. So what I've done all my life, and this is quite naughty, but hopefully useful, thief, steal what you can from whoever you can. We have so much to learn from each other. And when we put those gates up and say, well, she's a Christian, she doesn't have my beliefs, I'm a Muslim, you lose so much. So what I've learned to do, and what was very apparent for me, was there are good people everywhere. Take the good, stop judging, because we're very quick at judging. Oh, I don't like the way you've done your hair. You don't like the way I've done mine, but you don't know what I've done under my turban. But you know what I'm saying? We're always looking to, or back in the day, there was that critical factor. She doesn't do this, he doesn't do that. And I feel like that's changed a lot. And when we start talking to one another like we are here, there is so much to learn and so much more that we do that is similar. And not just that we do that's similar, but also simple things like eye makeup. In the West, we use eyeliners. In our countries, we use powders. But actually, the powders are quite healthy for the eye because they also heal the eye. So in terms of the community, I've tried to give as much as I can always, because that's always a great place to start, but also take from whoever's giving. And then go back and question them, because I think this thing about questioning, if you can't question me, I will always remain an alien. And the minute you know, well, actually, let me go and speak to Ruby, because although I don't agree with half of what she says, she might say something that helps me understand what she's talking about. So I take community wherever I go. I'll take it in a village, and I'll even take it in a place where I don't speak the language. So when I was married to a man, and I traveled quite a lot, as I love my traveling. And when we went to countries where we didn't speak the language, you and I probably do the same thing and try to explain it, or find somebody who can speak the language, or point. What my then husband used to do, we would go to a restaurant, we couldn't explain that we have halal food. He would get himself into the kitchen and show them what foods we could eat and say, make this, and then I will pay you. So there's so many different ways of communicating that we don't know how to do. So yeah, I steal, and I will continue to steal, because I think it's the best way of living. But then I also give things away. But yeah, the community for me is everywhere. It can be on a bus, it can be around the corner. And so I'm actively engaged in that all the time. Yeah. So
I love that. Naughty. Ruby is naughty. Yes. You're one of the naughtiest women I've ever met. That does not fit, but it's adorable. Susie, I'd love to hear from you talking about this community and what it means to be with other humans as you're healing.
Yeah, I think community is probably the most critical piece of healing, because you can't do it alone. And as we've heard from everybody on this show today, you have to be able to find a common ground with somebody, get permission to do the work, because we're too close to it, right? So, it's almost impossible for you to give permission to yourself when you're going in it. When you got the waders on, you can't see anything outside of what's happening in that moment. So community is really important, because that's how you connect with people and say, oh, I have a similar situation, or what your story resonates with me. So those kinds of things are really important, especially when many of us cannot rely on our family structure to be that support. We have to go find our chosen family, right? We have to find that community to where we fit in.
That's a big deal. Yeah. Finding community, chosen family, not so that you're abandoning your family of origin, but that community starts to deliver a different type of family connection and interconnectedness with folks that aren't necessarily so close to the heart of things that they can't see and can't come up levels to be able to help maneuver and really think about big picture topics. Maddie, you want to bring us home with this question and what community means to you?
Yeah, I think community to me means paying attention and also seeing someone else and allowing ourselves to be seen. And it just makes me think about there's a coffee shop that I would go to pretty regularly. And it wasn't because, well, the coffee was good. And it was because I knew there would be people there that would recognize me, that would know my name, that would genuinely ask me, "How are you?" and mean it, and feeling free to be myself in those spaces. And I think we do talk about community in this much broader sense oftentimes, but that for me, that sense of connectedness, that sense of community could come in the glimpse of a conversation in passing with someone where it's like, oh, I feel like they care about me. Having community in friendships, but also in public spaces, and paying attention and participating is what community for me has meant.
Yeah. And without community, just, the epidemic of loneliness that folks are experiencing right now, isolation can be a reaction to feeling bad. Nobody knows how I'm going to feel. Or how I feel. Nobody's going to understand what I'm going through. And so we further, we draw inward, and we resist any type of community because we don't want to be seen as weak. And we don't want to be seen as, say, broken or not according to all of the templates and the instas and all of the, going on, that we are in fact perfectly imperfect. And so community is, putting one foot in front of the other and stepping out and putting a hand out and saying, I need others in order to move forward. It's not a sign of weakness by any means. Here's the truth, right? All of us, every one of us here knows that healing is not a straight line, and staying in your center, that's a practice. It's a choice. Every day, multiple times a day. Sometimes that choice can be a battle, depending on the types of headlines that are coming at us, right? Things that are happening in front of us. I had last weekend, a man didn't stop at the stop sign at 40 miles an hour and drove his Sprinter van through the park all the way up the trail and took it through 5 backyards where there happened to be not today, the day that he chose to, no children, no pets, nobody, through 5 backyards. Whoa. Staying in my center, watching things like this happen some days is difficult. We've found lifelines along the way. We've been taught tools, we've been taught rituals, we've read, we've studied, we've been mentored, moments that bring us back into ourselves. I want to, what's one thing, simple or sacred, that helps you stay connected to peace and to love and to yourself? And let's make it real just for the folks listening who might be in the thick of something. I want to start with Ruby, and I'll kick it to Maddie afterwards. And then Susie, I think this would be a wonderful place to wrap in your beautiful abilities to and pull a few cards. So Ruby, what's one thing, simple or sacred, that helps you stay connected to peace and to love and to yourself?
Knowing that I am to serve, so knowing that I can serve and bringing it back to service. So knowing that my field is the way that it is, I can always center myself to give to others. So that giving part allows me to stay centered and to serve whoever might come my way, to be able to feed off of me and keep me centered because of that, because people know that that's what I do and that's what they often come to me for. So that allows me that space of breathing into my peace and just allowing myself to relax, to just be there. But it is hard work, like you mentioned. It's very, very hard. Yeah.
Thank you. Madison?
Yeah, I think that, there are a bunch of different rituals that I have done recently, like burning something. But to just give myself kind of a sensory reset, in a sense of like giving myself something else to pay attention to that is outside of myself. So like a smell. But then also coming back to my heartbeat. And I'm not going to thump on my chest because I don't want it to make a sound, but noticing when my heart rate is going up and then matching it with my hand, being like, we're right here, and bringing it back, slowing down enough to come back into this body, this space. And it's like, okay. We're still here. We're right here. And that has helped me to stay, especially in those moments when things start to like, we're going somewhere else. We're exiting the body, but to stay here.
Well, and the exiting of the body, with my air quotes, when we talk about being embodied and bringing ourselves back into our body, what we're talking about is there's a monkey mind that runs around and that will absolutely drive us. It lives up here, right? It's this, in my own spatial reference, it's the thoughts, it's the chaos of our mind that says, look there, over there, that's wrong, that's right, who's going, who's up, who's down, who's on first, right? And it can take us out of our center and distract us from truly the work that's in front of us, and our own, it can distract us from our own best choices. It can distract us from hearing our intuition. It can distract us from regulating our nervous systems to a point where we are not able to regulate, right? Where we are, we're bound with anxiety, with depression, with all kinds of things that take us out of our bodies and tell us that inside is not where we want to be. So I think that something so simple as feeling your heartbeat just makes me, it just makes me pause just thinking about that. Just the simple act of laying your hand on your chest actually signals your body to start coming down from fight or flight and to come down into safety, into slow. It's something so beautifully simple. Yeah. Thank you for reminding us of that. Susie, what's a simple or sacred way of staying connected to peace and love and yourself that you use?
Well, I am a big meditator. And so meditation for me is a way to get centered, especially when you've got the monkey mind going on, is to get centered. And along with that, breath work. Breath work is a way to regulate your vagus nerve and also your emotional body. And it really helps you just kind of let go of all that and just kind of get back into your body and get grounded. There's also other ways that I practice this too. Yoga and Tai Chi are both forms of meditation because it is rhythmic and it is a physical movement instead of just sitting and meditating. But anything like that you can do that is a meditation type practice and breath work is really something that helps me a lot. And in my astrological birth chart, I'm almost all all water and air. So I literally have to practice getting grounded every day. Most days, if it's warm enough, I am walking around barefoot. I will go outside and put my feet in the ground, in the dirt, in the grass, because I will go outside and hug my tree, because those practices are what helps us stay grounded, stay connected to earth and our physical bodies.
Beautiful. Beautiful. I love that. I could talk with, I would love you to do that, because I think that can take us home. If we've got just a few minutes, let's pull a couple cards for our friends that are listening, and for Ruby and Madison here, and see what we've got.
So, Natalie, do you have a question that you'd like to ask for our guests and our listeners?
Oh, goodness, don't put me on the spot. I just had all the questions.
Come on.
Yeah. Talk to us about, let's see what the cards have for the weekend together. Let's think about the community that we're pulling together the weekend after this coming.
Great. I love that. That's a great way to frame it. Oh my gosh. Okay. So the first card out is the 26 card. 2 plus 6 reduces to an 8. 8 is the number of communication. So this weekend the weekend for us will be all about communication. If you also flip an 8 on its side, it is the lemon skate or the infinity symbol. And the card is happy, happy. It's going to be hard to see on the camera there.
Happy,
So
happy.
So it's going to be a very, very joyful. What I also just jumped out to me is there's balloons on this card. The balloons are the same colors that you have in the graphics and the flyers that are going out. They're so bright and vibrant and beautiful. And also she's wearing a blue dress. Blue is your throat chakra. This is all about communication. It's all about us communicating and getting really connected with each other. And there will be a lot of happiness and joy around this event. So let's see what's next. Okay. That's pretty amazing. Like first card. That's one of my favorite cards. So there's also a little bird on that. So there may be a lot of downloads that we get individually during that weekend. And it'll be, those little birds are information, taps on the shoulder. She's also dancing on top of an egg. An egg represents creativity, the fertility, birth of new ideas, all of those kinds of things. So that weekend's going to be very ripe with just an expansiveness of communication and ideas and collaboration. So yeah. Okay. Next card is a 38 that reduces to 11. 11 is the number of fate and destiny. And this card is to be fair. So it's a woman holding the scales of balance, very Libra, and we are going into Libra season, by the way. So it means that we are, really kind of supported by the energies astrologically. On one side of the scale, she has an egg. So that kind of goes back to this egg on this card, the happy, happy card, where, we have the ability to create and make something new for ourselves, that fertility, right? The other side is a fortune cookie, symbolizing risk. So, and the unknown. And so we have to balance those things. We have to be able to step forward and take risk in our lives. But at the same time, do it in such a way that is creative and supportive, and that there's balance in that. So I really love that card. That's amazing. She's also got a crown on top of her head. So really tapping into crown chakra, getting those downloads. And on top of that crown is an owl. The owl represents your higher self, your wisdom, connection to the Akashic records. Super cool. Okay. And the last card is a 12, which reduces to a 3. 3 is the number of the teacher. So not only are we going to be learning from others, but we're going to be teaching others as well. So it doesn't matter if you've got a workshop or not, you're going to be teaching somebody something new during this weekend. And it's the card is a change in the wind. So she's on top, she's in this gazebo atop a zebra. The zebra represents your uniqueness, your ability to be different and celebrate those unique qualities that you bring to the table. She's in this gazebo, so she's protected. A zebra is also a 4-legged animal, so it's very stable, very balanced. But she's in this gazebo. She's facing into the wind. The weather vane at the top is north, she's facing north. So this really is about you facing your north node, which is your mission and purpose in this lifetime. And so she's taking any kind of change that's coming, she's going to face it head on and say, hey, I've got this. I'm supported. I'm going to just, really be able to stand out in my own uniqueness. So beautiful cards.
Wow.
Love that.
As they say, snapping is clapping. Oh my goodness.
Thank you for those cards.
You. I could talk with all of you all day. I am going to call this container complete for now, though. Ruby, Maddie, Susie, thank you for showing up so fully today. And to everyone listening, thank you. If you're within driving distance of Loveland, Colorado, you are officially invited to join us next weekend for Curiosity and Healing and Human Connection, September 26th and 27th. We're headquartered at Art Space Loveland and other nearby venues. I want you to come curious. I want you to come cracked wide open as you need to be. Come as you are. This is not just a wellness event. It's a homecoming for the human spirit. Tickled pink and the rainbow of colors over the folks that are joining us. It's an incredible lineup of teachers and speakers. Tickets and details are online. We'll put them in the show notes. I would love just to invite everyone to come bloom with us. And as we land this little virtual plane, thank you to each of you. Thank you to my listeners. And one last thing before we go. I hope you don't let anyone mess with your flow. You hear me? With love, 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 always. Thank you so much for joining me.